Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to LinkedIn Tuesdays. It's October 25th, 2022. We're very glad you're with us this afternoon. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window will not appear in the recording. For those people on Zoom, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please just put your questions into the chat window. For those watching on Facebook, you can put your questions in the comment field. I am monitoring both feeds and we'll get those questions answered for you. In fact, what I like to do to sort of start things off, if you will, open up the chat window or open the comment field on Facebook and tell us what city you're watching this from right now. What city are you located in? It's always interesting to know. I know we always have a couple people from Atlanta. Jeff just said he's from Big D, Watauga, Angela, Garland, Dallas. So thank you. Pop your cities in there. Oh, Pleasanton, California. Thank you. Marietta, Georgia. So yeah, put those in there. We'd really appreciate it just to know. All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. I'm back in 2008, I started a website called careerdfw.org, a website to help those who are unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. 10 years ago this month, I started a website called careerusa.org to help those outside the United States. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. Ooh, Bluebell, Pennsylvania. It'd be better if it was Bluebell, Texas, but that's okay. We'll add from the Philadelphia area. Thank you very much for joining us. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. The group's been around since the late 1990s. We've got a great presentation coming up this Friday. I'll tell you all about it at the end of this session. And since 2017, I've been a member of the Practice Interview Team, also known as the PIT Crew. Remember, your LinkedIn profile, your resume isn't going to get you your next job, but what it will get you is a phone call. How well you practice your interviewing skills, that's what's going to get you your next job. So if you'd like to get more information, go to dallaspitcrew.com and you can find out how to sign up for a totally free practice interview. All right, well, we have 4 outstanding speakers who rotate through on a monthly basis. And they all talk about LinkedIn from a little bit different point of view because this is what they've been trained in. So today our speaker is Ruth Lipsky. She's a career coach. She works for Lee Heck Harrison. She coaches job seekers every day of the week, and she's going to talk about how to drive recruiters to your LinkedIn profile. So Ruth, thank you for being with us, and it's all yours.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me here. And it's an important thing to know that everyone has a different feel for what LinkedIn should look like, how it can be used. Going to all 4 and listening to each person who has expertise in LinkedIn is going to give you a good overview. There will be some conflicts because everybody has their own idea on what's best on LinkedIn, but I think all in all, you'll be able to get a fair amount of information just by being able to decide what works best for you and trying something that might be a little bit different. We're going to concentrate today on setting up your LinkedIn profile so that recruiters are going to be able to find you. And that's important because you have 2 reasons to be on LinkedIn. One of them is after you've applied to a job at a company, the recruiter is going to be interested in your resume and is going to go out onto your LinkedIn profile to look for more information. A resume is really a subset of all of your skills, and they want to know what else you have to offer to the company and see a little bit more about maybe a personal side of you. So being able to expand on what recruiters are able to see once you've generated interest through your resume is one reason to have a good LinkedIn profile. The other reason, though, is that about 1/3 of all jobs these days are being offered to people who are found on LinkedIn by recruiters who are not posting a job on any of the job boards. They're simply going out onto LinkedIn, either through LinkedIn or the LinkedIn Recruiter software, typing in a title, maybe some skills, finding the people who have those and approaching them to see if they want to do an interview. So this is an important part because it is a growing part of how you're going to find a job. And that's by letting recruiters know that you're interested, by letting them know that you have the skills, and being able to be found on LinkedIn. And it's important to realize that LinkedIn calculates a score for your profile every day. And every day it's going to take a look at what have you got in your profile? How complete is it? How many sections do you have filled out? It's going to take a look at the number of connections that you have. It's going to look at what's in your interest area. You can have companies, you can have schools, you can have influencers, you can have a lot of different people there. Are you using it? They also take a look at, are you looking for a job? What kind of job are you looking for? How much are you using LinkedIn in order to find your next job? It's going to be calculating out as part of your network searches. Are you adding more people? Are you trying to collaborate more with people in your industry or who have a similar title and connect with those people? It's going to be watching your homepage to decide if you are active on the homepage and engaging in some of the discussions that take place there. Now, all of those are going to add to your calculated score, and your score is going to start going down when you stop being active on LinkedIn. So the less you're active, the more days where you have no activity at all on LinkedIn, your score is going to start going down. You can't see your score. LinkedIn does not want you to see your score because they think that you're going to try and game the system. And LinkedIn is also not going to tell you the point value of any of the activities that are on LinkedIn as to whether that's going to boost or simply increase your score. So we don't know a lot about what goes into this calculation, but we do know that there is a calculation, and we can make some assumptions that if you write someone a recommendation, that's probably going to be more beneficial than just endorsing them for a skill. One takes a lot more time and thought than the other and should be rewarded with a higher boost to your score. So now that you've got a score and you're maintaining it and you're increasing it by being on LinkedIn and being active 3 to 4 days a week, then you're going to start appearing higher up on the LinkedIn recruiter searches. So here's what a recruiter sees when they are on LinkedIn Recruiter. They will be able to put in a job title and a location, and then they can put in some skills. What comes up is going to be everyone on LinkedIn that has a reasonable match to what has been set up here. And in this case, we've got 42,798 candidates on LinkedIn who have project manager experience, are in the greater Chicago area, and have either business strategy or analytics in their skill set. 42,000 is way too many for any person to look through. So LinkedIn created the spotlight features that a recruiter can use. And they're across the top here. Open to new opportunities is going to bring you toward the top of the list. Recruiters want to be able to talk to people who are willing to change jobs. They don't want to talk to those people who are perfectly satisfied and are not interested in moving on to a new job. They're looking for the people who are saying, I'm interested. Having company connections means that you're connected to somebody within that company. And the recruiter generally feels that you know a little bit more about the company as a result of that. Engaged in the talent brand means that you are following the company on LinkedIn. So you've gone out to the company page on LinkedIn and clicked the follow button, which means that that company is allowed to post on your homepage all of the activities, all of the information that they have on LinkedIn. So that would be, here are our financials. Here's a new activity that we're doing. Here's a new product that we're introducing. Anytime you allow a company to post on your homepage means that the company is much more likely to be interested in you because you're interested in them. So the other two that are on this page are likely to respond and past applicants. Likely to respond is another one of those areas that you can't see, but LinkedIn is calculating something about you. So on your message tab, a recruiter could be sending you a note that says, we have this position open. It looks like you're a pretty good candidate for it. Would you like to talk? If you ignore that, then you're likely to respond percentage goes down. If you respond in any way at all, including, no, I'm not interested, but thanks, then your likely to respond rate goes up. So recruiters don't want to be talking to people who are going to ignore them. They have a certain number of messages that they can send out each month. They don't want to waste them. So they're going to go with the people who are engaging in conversations that are coming from recruiters. Now, there's other information that comes to you in messages through LinkedIn. Some of them are people that are selling you something, trying to connect for things that are other than a recruiting engagement. You can ignore those. That's okay. But for a recruiter contacting you, saying we have a job open, are you interested? You need to tell them yes or no, respond to them generally within 48 hours. Now, past applicants, that makes sense. If you have applied to this company before, if you've got more than one active application into the company, the recruiter is going to look at you much more closely because they think that you know more about the company, the brand, the products, the culture, and are going to be feeling that you will be a longer term employee because you've got a better idea of the company right now, because you're applying for the jobs. So those 5 areas are going to be the short features that LinkedIn is going to be looking at for each recruiter, sorting through a list of huge number of candidates in order to get to some that are a better fit for them. Now, LinkedIn never does anything randomly. There's a reason that this person, Emily Dalton, came up number 1 on the list. Shannon Curry came up 2. Aubrey Mackey came up 3. It's deliberate. LinkedIn feels that these are the best candidates based on what the recruiter is looking for. And part of that is going to be, what is the score of this person's profile? Is this person active on LinkedIn? Are they engaging in conversations on the homepage? Are they connecting to other people? Are they following companies? The more activity you have, the higher your score is, and the higher LinkedIn is going to bring you up on the searches. Notice that LinkedIn Recruiter does tell the recruiter a little bit more information, the number of connections, that they're following the company, that they're open to new opportunities. So LinkedIn is going to try and give them some information about these people, but notice that it's not the whole profile page. The real information that LinkedIn is giving them is, what's your current title? What was your past title? What's your geographic location? That's not much information for a recruiter to make a decision on. And recruiters don't want to spend their whole time clicking on each person's profile. They're going to make some snap decisions based on the information they have, particularly in this headline area. These folks have the LinkedIn default for their headline, which is their title at their company. But LinkedIn has recently expanded the headline area to 220 characters. LinkedIn wants you to put more information, wants you to put more titles, and wants you to put in your skills or a value statement so the recruiter will understand a little bit better who you are, what you can provide to the company without having to click into your profile and waste time that way. And we'll talk about that in a minute. So the LinkedIn algorithm, when LinkedIn is giving a recruiter a set of people based on the search criteria, the number 1 item on the algorithm is mutual interest. And notice that these are the 5 spotlight features. You need to tell a company you're interested in their company. That will bring you up higher on the list than just about any other thing. And that's going to be responding to recruiters when they contact you, connecting to employees that are in the company, following the company on LinkedIn so you see more information about them, making sure you have the open to work feature on, even if you don't have the hashtag open to work frame around your picture, and apply as many times as you can to jobs within that company that you feel you're capable of handling. All of those are going to be more important than your job title or your key skills or the skill quiz. The first thing is, are you interested? Can we even have this discussion? Secondly, the importance is, can you do the job? So how are we going to increase visibility to the recruiters in general? Your headline area, where most people still have their job title at their current company, expand that and put more information in there. And it can be something that's very straightforward. Here we've got two different titles, accountant and senior accountant, and then a value statement, increasing productivity in highly regulated industries. Being able to say something to the recruiter that is going to give them a better feel for the skills, the talents, your availability are going to be an important part of recruiters finding you. Notice that the higher level, like the VP of marketing, creating value for business through effective marketing strategies, or this director level job for customer relations, helping the world become more customer centric, those are strategic. They're not going to be the detailed skills that you want to showcase so that you can do the job. These are higher level jobs, and they need to be able to talk about how you move the company, how you ensure that things get done. And if you're more of a detail person, like somebody here with a full stack application developer, they're putting in what their technical skills are, SQL, JavaScript, put them all in there. If those are the skills that you think are going to bring a new job to you, let the recruiter know right up front. They're looking for those people too. A little tongue-in-cheek isn't bad. Be careful about using too much humor. But an IT project manager who can explain high tech to my mom has a sense of humor and probably is a fairly technically strong communicator. Good skill to have. Business analyst who is an introvert living in a department of extroverts. Once again, a little bit of information about the person, but not so much that it's going to annoy anybody that has a different sense of humor. So use the 220 characters to describe who you are or what you think is going to be important for your next job and is going to get the attention of the recruiter. Because they're going to see all thousands of people who have the same title that you have, stand out amongst them by saying something a little bit different and stronger about yourself. LinkedIn used to rely on the number of endorsements to indicate how strong a skill was. They found out over time, though, that just because somebody has endorsed you doesn't necessarily mean that you've got a strong skill there. So LinkedIn has created a skill quiz that allows you to show that you truly do have competencies. They've got tests in 3 different categories. You can have a technical test like C++ and Python and JavaScript. You can have business tests, QuickBooks, and then the Microsoft Suite, and design assessments that are more Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, things of that sort. If you pass one of these tests, LinkedIn is telling us that you are at least 20% more likely to get hired for a job that needs that skill. And that makes sense too, because if a recruiter is looking for someone who has strengths in that area and you've passed an exam that proves that you've got those strengths, perfect. They want to talk to you. Now, the test itself, 15 to 20 multiple choice questions. It is a timed test, and once you start taking the test, you have to complete it. You have to have at least a 70% in order to pass the test. And when you pass the test, you put a badge next to that skill. Looks like a clipboard with a check mark on it. It's going to be valid for 12 months and then it expires and you have to take the test again. And that's because they assume that there's going to be new features that come out for each one of these skills. And you probably need to ensure that you're capable of handling the new features as well as the ones that you've been using all along. If you do not pass the test, nobody sees that. No recruiter is able to see that you failed the Excel test.
Ruth, got a question. Ruth, have a question. So it says that these are only valid for 12 months. So it's been about 18 or 20 months since they started doing this. Has anybody reported having those little clipboards taken away after the 12-month period? It'd be
Yes.
interesting to know.
We're being told by LinkedIn that it happens. I don't know anybody who has reported that it's actually happened. I think I'm coming up on 12 months. I'll check and see when that happens on mine.
It's really interesting because, yeah, to see if they're really knocking it off after 12 months. So, yeah, if anybody out there knows, if you've taken a test and it's been 12 months, please let us know. We'd like to know that information.
And if you're still coming to these sessions because you're unemployed after 12 months, let us know because you probably need a little bit more help too. But yes, if anybody has taken a test that long ago, let me know. That's a good question because I have not seen that. And by the way, if you do not pass the test, you have to wait 3 months before you're allowed to retake it. So you're not going to get the same questions each time you take the skill quiz, but they're going to be generally similar because they're going to catch all different parts of whatever that software package is. Now, when you take the skill quiz, it's going to be part of your profile so that recruiters can search on skill quiz passing. So when a recruiter, once more, we're on LinkedIn Recruiter. If a recruiter is looking for a software engineer in the greater Denver area, and here they've got 5 skills, 3 of them have tests associated with them: JavaScript, Swift, and Ruby on Rails. So in this area, LinkedIn allows you to say, I want to see people who have passed this test. These are important, and I'll need somebody strong in this area. So the person who comes up on top here has passed the test on JavaScript and Ruby on Rails, has not passed the one on Swift, but they passed 2 out of the 3, which is a pretty good indication that they're going to be able to hit the ground running. Same thing here. Person who came up number 2 has passed Ruby on Rails, but not the rest of them, unless JavaScript here is kind of hidden, isn't it? But being able to demonstrate a skill in an area that is key to your next job is going to be a positive thing to be able to do. So take the test. If you don't pass it, nobody's going to see it. If you do pass it, it can be helpful in letting the recruiter know that you've got the skills needed. Now, in the skills section, you're going to be putting in the technical skills that you have, and those are generally going to be the hard skills, but you're also going to want to be putting in the soft skills that the recruiters are searching for. And even today, the top 5 skills that recruiters look for are creativity, persuasion, collaboration, adaptability, and emotional intelligence. If you don't have those in your skills section of LinkedIn, you should have them in the about section or in the experience section so that you can indicate that you have that skill. Recruiters are looking for people who can do the technical job, but they also want people who are going to fit into the company culture and are going to be able to represent them to the community if need be. So having some of the softer skills are becoming more important in a job search. And if you're looking for a remote job, then having the self-management skills, active learning, resilience, stress tolerance, and self-motivation are going to indicate to a recruiter that you're able to be effective when you're working from home. Putting those in either in the skills section or someplace in the about section is generally going to be enough for the recruiter to be able to find you. Now you can check how your key skills match the expected key skills for any job. And this is kind of a lengthy thing. We'll just go out onto LinkedIn so that we can take a look at it. So when you're on your profile page, you're going to have your information through here, and look at the headline here. Going to have a title, another title, a specialization. Having information in your headline area, you have a lot of room. 220 characters is a fair amount to say things, but putting in something that's going to make you memorable to a recruiter. But your skill check is going to be through this More feature right here. When you click on More, you can build a resume. Click on Build a Resume, and I want to create the resume from my LinkedIn profile. So I'm going to click here, and it's going to ask me what kind of job title I want to be putting at the top here. So maybe career counselor. That's what I want to be. I'm going to apply that, and it's going to write out a resume in a format that we would normally see a resume. But also on the right-hand side, it's going to tell me, here are the skills that we found in your resume that are expected of somebody with a career counselor as a goal, but it is also giving me some keywords that I don't have that are probably missing and might keep me from being in consideration for a job as a career counselor if a recruiter is looking for people who have more skills. So I can go back into my profile and I can probably add teamwork and program management fairly easily. Some of the others might not fit because I haven't done those, but it does give you the understanding that LinkedIn has created titles, and for each title, it has expected skills. And this is the only place you're going to be able to find them easily. So check and see how close you match, because people generally have a fairly broad set of responsibilities. And it may be that you picked the skills that you use most often, but you may have more skills that a person looking simply for this title is going to expect to see. Check and make sure you're using all the suggested keywords if you have that capability. Okay on that, because that's a new feature. Okay. Keep an eye on your analytics. You're the only person who can see this analytics field here, but it tells you how many people have looked at your profile. If you are active on the home page, it tells you how many people have engaged with you, but it also tells you how many search appearances you have appeared in that are using the LinkedIn Recruiter software. You want these numbers to be going up. There's no pure number that we can give that says you should always be in this range. It's going to depend on what type of job you're looking for. But from when you start working on your profile, write down what your profile views and your search appearances are. And every other week, check and see what those numbers are. Make sure they keep going up, because it means that you're going up in the search algorithm for LinkedIn, and that's bringing you closer to the top of the list where recruiters are going to spend more of their time. In the About section, put as much information as you can. If you're using hashtags, put them in here. Never put a hashtag in the headline area, because that distorts the search. And generally put in how to get in touch with you. The recruiter can try and get in touch with you via LinkedIn messaging. They will do that, but they would much prefer to send notice to your personal email, because it's friendlier and you're probably going to read that more seriously. In your experience area, you will always have the title that the company gave you, but sometimes the title that the company gives you is not an industry standard or might be somewhat misleading as to what you actually did, you can put a pipe, the straight up and down thing, and then put another title or two after that in order to translate the title that you had at this company to something that might be more recognizable by a recruiter or a hiring manager. You can do the same thing if your title is too broad. So in this case, Senior Manager of Training and Development, but most of my work was spent moving training material into instructional design, e-learning, virtual learning. So in parentheses, I put down the titles that I feel I'm capable of accepting because of the amount of time that I spent on that. You wouldn't have been able to see that based on my company given title, but I had enough experience and I can certainly do these other roles. So either put it in as an alternate title with a pipe or put it in parentheses in order to indicate that these are the types of titles that were required for me to do. As you're working through here, you're going to be putting in information in your skills area, possibly in some of the other areas. And skills is going to be an important consideration. LinkedIn allows you to have 50 of them. And for everything in your tools and technology area, you might want to try the skills test and see if you can pass that, because that brings you a different set of interest from the recruiter. At the top of this page, you can also add more to your profile. And the more information you have on your LinkedIn profile, the easier it is for a recruiter to be able to find you, because they're putting in some keywords. LinkedIn is probably evaluating you based on the words expected for the type of role that they're looking for. But adding more information, the core information is going to be the things that you probably have. Your education, your current position. Career break is one of the newer areas. And a career break allows you to put in why you have a gap between jobs. So if you're looking for a job right now and it's getting to an uncomfortable place where you think it is too long a period of time and might be a red flag, you can put in that you were laid off, your position was eliminated, and that's why you don't have a job at this time. Also within this, you can have these recommended areas. And these are going to be if you have a license or a certification, if you want to add courses that you've taken, or if you don't yet have any recommendations, please add those, because recruiters are looking at those for how do other people view you in the workplace. Courses are going to be a good one to add because it's going to indicate that you have taken additional training to get better at your job. And it could be that this was something the company required, but it could be something that was voluntary. We're having a class on how to do a performance appraisal. We're having a class on having difficult conversations. Whatever that is, put that into this area because it indicates that you're willing to learn more, especially for things that are interfering with your workday. It's hard to find that time to take a class when you've got other expectations and other goals and responsibilities bearing down on you. You should also put in the courses that you took on an annual basis that came from probably the compliance team, maybe anti-money laundering, privacy, harassment in the workplace. Those classes were sent to you because your job required you to know more information about that. Put it down, add it into the courses that you're having on your profile, because you're indicating that you understand the importance of having taken them and the recognition that you're going to take those next year and the year after and the year after that too. So add the courses that you've taken to learn more about the company, the products, the changes, but also add the courses that were required on an annual basis. Other things in the profile section, in this additional feature, you can add volunteer experience, and recruiters more and more are looking for people who are volunteering anywhere. Doesn't matter where it is, because it indicates that you're taking time out of your schedule to help others. And every company knows that they have a footprint in the community and a reputation nationwide, probably, and they want people who are able to support them in their volunteer activities. If you have publications, if you have patents, if you have awards, put those in. Test scores, only put the test score in if you are still in college. For the most part, nobody cares what your ACTs are or SATs are after you've gotten into the workforce. But this project area is a good one, because in the project area, you can put in a project name of something that you did that you think was important, that might come up in an interview when you're talking about what are you most proud of doing at the company. So put a name to it. You'll have to put in what your role was with it. But this description area is huge. It is 2,000 characters deep. This is an amazing amount of space. So if you were feeling a little bit cramped when you were writing your resume and writing the bullet points underneath your job on what you did, and you really wanted to talk about the STAR format more, given the situation, let's talk about the background. What were the actions? What were the results? What were the tasks? If you want to describe in more detail a project that you did because it was that good, LinkedIn is giving you a place for that. It can be a repeat and an expansion of what you already have in your LinkedIn profile. You're just giving more detail. And 2,000 characters gives you a lot of detail. And the more words you have in your LinkedIn profile, the easier it is for a recruiter to be able to find you. Now let's take a look at how we're going to be networking into a company and ensuring that mutual interest. In the chat feature, or just yell it out, could somebody tell me a company that they're interested in?
Someone want to type a company name in the chat window? Here we go. Kubota. Kubota.
Okay. When you're typing it in on any of these pages, except for the Jobs tab, you'll be able to see that there's a drop down and you can find the company. You can double check and make sure it's the right icon there. And you have the opportunity of following it or viewing the page. Let's go ahead and view the page. And you can follow at this point, which is going to put this company onto your profile page in the interest area. But it also gives you more opportunities through here. In the job section, it allows you to create a job alert. And in the job alert, you can put in a title. And let's say project delivery manager. You can put in a job location, and then you can create a job alert. When you do that, then anytime the recruiter is placing a new requisition on LinkedIn that is of that title or similar to that title, a level above and below, then LinkedIn is going to send back to the recruiter a list of everybody who is following the company with a job alert, and the recruiter is given, here are 12 people who have indicated that they want to work for you for this type of title and whose profiles match what you're looking for. Start here. And a recruiter will always take a shortcut when it's offered to them. Now you can only have 20 job alerts in LinkedIn altogether, so use them sparingly. You can't have them for every company out there, but if you have a company or two that you're targeting, put in a job alert. You can put up to 8 in a single company. Hopefully you would never need 8. 1 is probably all you need to do in order to show that interest. Now, the other thing to do on this page is people. When you click the people tab, It tells you about the number of people who have a LinkedIn profile and who work at this company. And you've got two columns. Let's go ahead and click on this show more. But it tells you where they live and where they studied. Well, for our case, let's say we want to be in the Atlanta metropolitan area. So we've narrowed it down that far. You've got more filters here. So let's take a look at next. And next tells you what they do. This is the department that they work in. And these are the skills that they have on their LinkedIn profile. Probably don't care much about skills, but you probably do care about what department they're in, because that's going to narrow down considerably the number of people that you're working with. Click next again. And you can see what they studied and how you're connected. If you have a first degree connection in a company that you're interested in, then you're in good shape because you can send a note to your first degree connection. I just applied to Kubota and am interested in a job as, give them a title. Do you know who the recruiter is? Do you know who the hiring manager is? Any suggestions on interview tips? So being able to check and see if you already know somebody is going to be important. Now, if you have a second degree connection, that means that you've got people in common with somebody else in your networks, but you're not directly connected with them. It's an opportunity for you to connect with them. Don't have any second degrees. Excuse me, let me get that. If it was a second degree connection, you could send a note to someone to be able to say, I see we have people in common in our LinkedIn networks. I'm considering job opportunities at Kubota. Let's connect. So being able to get them to connect, and then once they're a first degree connection, you can start talking a little bit more about hiring managers, recruiters, people of that sort. Now, when you're taking a look at the people through here, you can see that you have an option of messaging them or connecting with them. Never use the white connect button on this page, because that's going to send the automated and standard LinkedIn Connect request. I'd like to connect with you. Always go click on their name or their picture and go to their profile page and use the blue connect button, because a blue connect button will always be able to be given a special message to it. Why am I trying to connect with you? Why is this important? So go with the blue. Going back onto this page though, taking a look through, if you wanted to say that you're in the Atlanta area and you're just looking for people who are recruiters, no recruiters there. So they don't recruit out of Atlanta. Let's take out Atlanta. So they've got two recruiters. Certainly being able to connect with a recruiter on LinkedIn is going to be a positive thing. Recruiters are generally more interested in you if you have already applied for a specific job. They're not looking for, I like your company, tell me what I can do for you. They're looking for, I have applied for this role because I have these skills and experience, would love to connect and talk further. So being able to indicate to the recruiters that you have applied for a very specific role and that you're interested in engaging them in a discussion either with the recruiter or with the hiring manager could bring you to the interest of them a little bit faster. Now the question came up, can recruiters see if you set up a job alert? They only see if you have a job alert if LinkedIn pushes your information to them. And every time they have a job that they have posted that matches what you're interested in through your job alert, then yes, they will see that. And that's part of the LinkedIn search on the LinkedIn Recruiter software. That's a factor of it and brings you to the top.
Ruth, there were a couple other questions here. Let me, well, since you took one, Angela asked, do the hashtags in your about section distort the algorithms or analytics?
No, the only place that gets distorted is in the headline and the title areas. So in the headline area, stay away from hashtags. In the title area, stay away from hashtags. Any other place in your profile, in your experience section or in your about section, use the hashtags. And for the hashtags that I'm using, I put some at the bottom, but I also put some at the end of a paragraph to summarize that this is what I was talking about.
Okay. Susan asked, which company do you put in LinkedIn if you work for itself or the real company that you report to for work purposes? I guess if you're a contract employee, maybe.
Yes, sorry, I bungled it. Yeah, if you work for a contracting company, which do you put? The contracting company, which is smaller, or the real company you're working for work?
It's generally the contracting company, but you need to put in parentheses afterwards, the company that you're supporting, which is one that's more recognizable. So you would put the contract company as the company of record because that's who employed you. But in the title area, make sure you put down the company that you were really doing the work for.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
That's it. That's all the questions I have so far.
Okay. Let's talk about how you can connect using a college or a university. Anybody have a university or college they want to share with us?
Give us your college name
Okay.
or a root college.
UCH. There you go. We will view the page. And here we have a similar set of information, but we're not interested in jobs, but we are interested in alumni. And if you take a look at that alumni, it's going to tell you that there were 135,567 people who attended this college in the last 122 years and who have a LinkedIn profile. If you're interested in using this in order to find your next job, you're going to type in your company in that area, and you're going to find out that there are two people at this college that are in this company that you're interested in. Let's see who those are. Nice ones. What you can do in this case is that you can connect with them by saying, I see you also went to, is it Baruch College? Baruch.
Baruch.
Okay, thank you. I enjoyed my time there. I am interested in career opportunities at, and then put the company name. Would love to discuss how you like it there. So alumni are normally very easy to connect to. Let's put in Microsoft as the company of interest here. 455 people have worked at Microsoft. 97 are currently working there. Some of them have worked at Microsoft and are now someplace else. So when you're taking a look for the people who are currently working there, because they're your best contacts and the best opportunity to get recommendations on, then you'll be able to see all of them through here at the bottom of the page in the smaller tile. Once again, don't use the white connect button. Always go to the person's page so that you can send a notice off to them that's personalized. If it says follow, that means the person is no longer accepting connection requests. And this person has 1,500 people following them, probably is not interested in connecting. Let's take a look. What happens when you follow is that you can see everything that this person is posting on the home page, but they can't see anything that you're posting. So following is a one-way connection. You can see them, they can't see you. They will see that you are now a first-degree connection with them if they go out onto your profile site, but they're not going to be able to see what you're posting or what your activities are on LinkedIn.
Click on the More button for a second. So sometimes you'll be able to still find that connect button if you want to directly connect with them person. And you'll be able to send a personal note from there.
You certainly can, and they might even connect with you. So give it a try if you think that it's somebody who is of enough interest to you that they could help you out. But the follow button is generally their preference.
I've also found when I went to the conference a couple of weeks ago that there are a number of people out there that have put on, this is called creator mode, when you get the follow feature, that people don't realize they're doing that because they just, they went and that's what they picked and they don't realize they did it. So, you want to make sure that that's turned off if you want to get connections. And if you're unemployed, you want people to connect with you easily. So make sure you have that turned off.
That's a real good point. The creator mode sounds like it would be fun, and it does allow you to put in more information in your headline area, the hashtags that you're following, but it limits you so much on your ability to interact with other people that I would generally say stay away from creator mode. Just stay as the plain LinkedIn feature there. Good point, Jeff. Thanks.
I know there's one of our speakers, Terry Sullivan, he recently switched over to that mode, but he already has 20,000 connections and you can only have 30,000 max. So he wanted to slow down the number of people that are trying to connect with him.
Good point. On your homepage, LinkedIn wants you to be commenting, and it does give you some options, almost like Facebook, where you can say, I like it, I'm celebrating, I'm supporting. Don't use these features because they don't add to your score. You get 0 points for these. Use the comment feature instead. And when you comment, be sure you have a minimum of 8 words in your answer. It can't just be thanks. It needs to be thank you for sharing. I appreciate learning more. Or I have seen this in the past. I'm so glad you brought this up. It needs to be more engaging. It needs to be more conversational. So 8 words in the comment section in order to get the maximum number of points for your profile. The most points you're going to get is if you're dealing with original material where you're starting a post. And it does give you some guidance as to what do you want to talk about and are there hashtags that you want. If you're not using hashtags, then the people who see your post are going to be the people in your network. And there's nothing wrong with that because the people in your network are probably most interested in what you're having to say. But if you add a hashtag that expands your voice to a group of people who are interested in this topic. So if we wanted to say, looking for interview tips for next week, LinkedIn is going to suggest adding hashtag interview. And hashtag interview is going to be a group of people who are all interested in interviewing and might be able to give you some suggestions. So let's X out of here. And when you're looking at hashtags, there's going to be a lot of different opportunities here, and they are in no particular order. You may need to look at a couple of them, but since LinkedIn recommended hashtag interview, we'll click on that. And that's going to take us to a site that only has interview tips, interview activities here. And we've now got 215,000 people who we have just talked to or just asked for help from. So now beyond the people in your network group, by using a hashtag, you get to talk to a lot more people if you are targeting the type of folks who are most interested in what you're talking about. Does that work?
It can be very interesting.
Okay, any questions? We're running a bit short on time.
Anybody else have a question real quick before we wrap up?
I have one.
Yes, go ahead.
I wasn't going to ask him, but I will. When it comes to a resume, I have my resume in a Word document that I may PDF and submit. Do you start with that and then port it over into LinkedIn, or does it? I mean, they probably need to coincide, be consistent, but you
What
start.
we normally recommend is that you write a master resume that is a brain dump of everything you've done. And from that resume, you're going to take out the parts that aren't needed when you're submitting it to a company. But at least having it written up and knowing where your skills are, where your stories are, is going to be helpful. And sometimes that brain dump master resume can be 3 or 4 pages long. You're going to shorten that up and take out the things that aren't needed when you apply. But your master resume information is what's going to go onto your LinkedIn, because you need to talk about all your stories, all your experiences, and having it on LinkedIn. LinkedIn sometimes can be twice as big as a resume.
Okay, thanks.
Did that answer it?
Yes.
Great. All right. Well, Ruth, thank you very, very much. Great information. If you'd like to connect with Ruth, you can reach out to her. Here's her LinkedIn, what her LinkedIn profile looks like. She already showed it to you just a second ago, but here's a great way to reach out. Just let her know that you met her here today, that, send her that personal note that you saw her present today at LinkedIn Tuesday. All right. Next week, our speaker is going to be Kurt Vondermatter. Kurt is a retained search executive. He pays LinkedIn big bucks to have the full-blown recruiting package. So what he's going to show us next week is what he does when he's trying to find you a job candidate. And he'll show you the good, the bad, and the ugly. So please come join us next Tuesday at 1 o'clock for Kurt. All right, I need everybody, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Jeff Morris, promise to always send a personal note whenever I send a LinkedIn request to connect with anyone. This includes when I use my cell phone or my computer. Very, very, very important. You're always able to send a personal note from your from a desktop, your PC, your Mac, your tablet. You just want to always send that personal note, because I get connection requests on a daily basis. If I don't get a personal note, I don't know why we should connect. I don't know if you saw me at a meeting, if you saw me at a presentation. So please always do that. As Ruth said, never use the white connect button. Always use the blue connect button, because the blue connect button will always allow you to send a personal note. Career DFW Career USA, we're putting on training 4 days a week. Please join us tomorrow for Interviewing Wednesdays. We're going to talk about discussing compensation and the circumstances around leaving your previous position. This is 2 questions that will come up in every interview you always have. How much do you need to make? How much did you make at your last job? How to handle that question, and why did you leave your last job? And how to answer those questions positively and with some informed information. So join us tomorrow at 1 o'clock Central. Thursday, being the 4th Thursday of the month, we're going to talk about networking, a secret weapon to simplify your networking efforts. This is with Sonia Lowry. Sonia will be with us live. So she'll be doing a presentation. There's a bunch of handouts. So please come join us this Thursday. And then this Friday, the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group meeting at 9:30 Central Time in the morning. Accountability groups. We're now meeting in person, or you can come join us online. For those in the DFW area, I hope you'll come join us in person. Clayton Stockdale will be with us to talk about accountability groups. This is a really important thing. I mean, who are you accountable to in your job search? You really want to have a team, 3 to 5 other people. Clayton's going to talk about how you set that up, who should be on your team, who should not be on your team, what you should talk about, and how to handle that. So please come join us this Friday morning. you'd like to join the Career DFW or Career USA LinkedIn groups, you're welcome to join one or both. You don't have to live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area to join the Career DFW group. It has over 14,000 members. I just happened to start each group when I started each of the websites. So this session has been recorded. It will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel. On the Career USA YouTube channel, so go to YouTube, type in Career USA, click on playlist. There's over 400 videos currently up on the playlist on the channel. But if you click on playlist, it takes it down to 7, and then down at the very bottom, pick the topic you want, and where it says view full playlist, where that red arrow is, click there, and then up will come a list of the dates and topics, and you can go back and find the one that you want. The most current one should usually be on top. It'll take a couple hours for Facebook to get this one loaded, but it will be up later this afternoon. If you're not receiving emails about our workshops, please join the Career USA mailing list. Just send an email to Career USA, the + subscribe at groups.io. You'll never be spammed, but what you will get is the topic of the day, the title of the day, and most importantly, the Zoom link of the day. That way you can grab your lunch, your afternoon snack, your breakfast on Friday morning, a cup of coffee, and you can sit and watch our presentations on Zoom. Please remember, Career DFW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We have no full or part-time employees. All of our speakers are volunteers. I'm a volunteer. Everything I've done over the last 14 years has just been to help you land your next great opportunity. So thank you very much for joining us today, everybody. Hopefully we'll see you later in the week. Goodbye for now.